ADAC GT Masters. We are go. The car's found out. And he's given the squeeze. Look at this, side by side. Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff. Welcome back to the seaside, everybody. Welcome to Circuit Zandvoort. We are here on the North Sea coast in amongst the sand dunes at this glorious circuit for round 2 of the ADAC GT Masters. It's the 18th season for the League of Super Sports Cars, and we have a massive crowd here this weekend here to witness some excellent racing, part of the DTM package. The skies are blue, the sun is shining. Yesterday, we spent most of the time looking at the sky, waiting for it to rain. Well, the rain did come. Fortunately, it was after the GT Masters race had finished. Today, no such problems. It's a bit chilly. It's a bit windy. The wind has blown a fair bit of sand off the dunes onto the track, making the track a little bit lively for this race 4 of the season. 15.9 degrees centigrade. The track is up to 31.4, and you can see from the flags it's a fairly windy kind of day. Yesterday, we saw our championship leaders, Elias Seppänen and Tom Callender, win the race from the front of the grid, and they didn't just win it, they utterly dominated it, despite carrying 20 kilograms of success ballast that they had as a result of winning the previous time in Oschersleben. Well, it's not going to be so easy today, because that car there, the gold and white #1 Landgraf Mercedes, is starting from stone last. They failed scrutineering this morning, a technical issue with blanking off parts of the car. Saw them thrown out of qualifying. They are going to have to work their way through the pack. It's going to be a real test of character for Tom Callender at just 16 years old. This time last year, he was racing Formula 4, and here he is leading the championship in ADAC GT Masters by 24 points from Leon Köhler and Max Osten, who were real stars yesterday coming through from the back of the pack. In third in the championship, Finn Wiebelhaus and Janis Fitcher with 47 points. So they are 29 points adrift of the race leaders. But Tom Callender, 16 years old, alongside Elias Seppänen, one of the defending champions in the ADAC GT Masters. At the other end of the grid, car number 33, Simon Conner-Prim has earned his first ever pole position in the ADAC GT Masters. He, along with his co-pilot Jonas Greif, have had a couple of 10th places, a 13th place yesterday, a fairly difficult race, but starting from pole position, there's a lot of pressure on them. We're looking at Mike David Ortmann. He is the current champion of the ADAC GT4 Germany, not defending it because he stepped up to the ADAC GT Masters, a real character around the raceway. Does a lot of driver coaching as well. He's starting third on the grid. Salman Ovega will be between him and Simon Conner-Prim. And car number 63, another car that picked up a penalty after qualifying, being driven by Benjamin Heites. They got a 3-place grid drop for blocking during the qualifying session. They're still down on the second row, so certainly not out of contention. One more penalty to tell you about as we look at the car that was very much the star of the show yesterday. Max Osten and Leon Köhler in the BMW for FK Performance came through the pack, having started at the very back. The other penalty to tell you about, a technical infringement, well, it's Giuliano Holzem and Sandra Holzem. It's their birthday today. Both of them are 20 years old. Their birthday present from the race stewards was a disqualification from qualifying, and they start on the back row due to a tyre infringement. You can hear the engines are running, and very, very shortly we are going to get ourselves onto the formation lap for the 4th race of the season for the ADAC GT Masters. My name's Brian Oliver. Time to introduce the man stood alongside me, the voice of DTM. Good afternoon, Chris Hartley.
Hello, Brian. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very windy Zandvoort. It's about 30% more windy than it was yesterday. Coming into the circuit, there are a lot of kite surfers and windsurfers out on the sea, just a stone's throw from the circuit. The crosswinds could be an issue at parts of the circuit, the higher parts of the circuit for the drivers. And as Brian said, it's actually a bit cooler air temperature-wise than it was yesterday, but the track temperature is right up. It's at 31 degrees, so that's going to be hard work for the Pirelli tyres in the 1 hour plus 1 lap race. A few teams and drivers with something to prove in this race. Benjamin Heites and Tim Zimmerman, who are in the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini. They're fourth in the championship, looking for their first win. They actually qualified on pole, but as Brian said, 3-place grid penalty from yesterday, so they're ones to watch from fourth on the grid. And then the championship leaders, Tom Callender and Elias Zeppelin, are back on the very last spot on the grid, 16th, but they'll take heart from the fact that yesterday, climbing from what the end was 14th on the grid all the way through to 5th place and almost 4th place, the BMW of Max Osten and Leon Kohler, who are second in the championship. They were able to make good progress in the race. Just some changes overnight to BOP as well to make you aware of. The Aston Martins are lighter than they were yesterday in terms of BOP weight on the cars. They're 10 kilograms lighter. They've gone from 35 to 25 kilograms. The Audi 15 kilograms heavier. The BMWs are the same. The key one though, Ferrari's 10 kilograms heavier, Lambo's 15 kilograms heavier, and Mercedes 10 kilograms lighter.
Taking a look at the grid, Simon Conoprim on pole position with defending champion Simon Vega alongside Mike David Allman, Tim Zimmerman on row 2, Max Osten. He'll be doing a bit of damage from there, I reckon, with Finn Wiebelhaus for company. Row 4 of the grid, and it is Max Rice with Eduardo Cositeng for company, and then Johannes Kapfinger, Jean-Luc de Oria on row 5 of the grid. Row 6, Jonas Karklees and Alexander Schwarzer, the only bronze-rated driver in this race. Then JJ Bernhardt has Chandler Hull for company on row 7. And then at the back of the grid, the 2 DQs from qualification, Sandro Holzem and Tom Callender, with an awful lot of work to do from all the way back there. We are at Circuit Zandvoort, a circuit that is 4.259 kilometers around, 2.646 miles, 14 turns, 10 to the right and 4 to the left. It is a tough old circuit. The fearsome 18-degree banking of turn 14, giving the drivers a great run out onto the pit straight into turn 1. The best overtaking opportunity, but also the best opportunity to throw it all away. It is a tricky track that takes no prisoners. You cannot make mistakes around here and get away with it. Simon Conoprim out of turn 14 was looking very nervous just before the race on his first pole position. Simon Vega just holding back slightly, similar to what his teammate did yesterday for David Schumacher. We are now racing 60 minutes plus 1 lap here at Zandvoort for the ADAC GT Masters, and it was the Lamborghini of Simon Conoprim that was just slightly ahead when they crossed the line. Simon Vega dropping in to that 2nd place. Mike David Allman in 3rd place. Keep an eye on him. He's going to be very strong from there. The experienced Tim Zimmerman coming under pressure from behind. Finn Wiebelhaus is there as well. And Max Osten in the mighty BMW out of turn 3 towards turn 4 and 5. The car's absolutely nailing the accelerator in the opening lap of this race.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on the very back of the grid as well. Nothing gained on that first run through turns 1, 2 and 3 for the championship leaders. Still running in stone at last place as they come down into the right-hander at turn 7. Downhill now into turn 8. Everybody trying to find a way through, including the Ferrari, the Emil Frey Racing Ferrari there of Jean-Luc Doria, trying to get past Julius Kapfinger there in the Porsche as they go left now through turn 10. They accelerate up to about 215 kilometers an hour in 4th gear by the time they get to the end of the straight. They'll have to hit the brakes hard for the chicane section down to 2nd gear. Possible overtaking opportunity coming up, and some progress now being made for the championship leaders. 2 places gained.
Yes, Tom Callender making a move past JJ Bernhardt and Chandler Hull to complete the first lap of the race. The field stringing round in a giant snake. It's Simon Conoprim leading the way, but looking a little bit vulnerable to Simon Vega. There's Sandro Holzem taking a little look to Alexander Schwarzer just to the inside of the Porsche. Audi versus Porsche out along the pit straight. But here comes Tom Callender on the inside. He'll even go 3 abreast if he wants to into turn 1. A lot lot of pace in that Mercedes, under braking. Schwarzer just closing the door in front of Callender. Now round turn 2 they come, and it'll be back up onto the banking of turn 3. So Schwarzer feeling the pressure of that Mercedes. Tom Callender impatient to come through, takes a lower line, through turn 3, then the acceleration out towards turn 4. Job done for Tom Callender. Now Schwarzer coming under pressure from Sandro Holzman as well, so losing a couple of positions just in a couple of corners.
Yeah, really nicely set up manoeuvre that from Tom Callender, the 16-year-old, the youngest driver in the field, getting stuck in early doors because he doesn't want to let the front runners get away too far. He could lose the championship lead in theory on a penalty lap coming the way of the Holzman twins for inaccurate grid position. So that was a car making progress as well, just behind Tom Callender, but they're going to have to go on the exit to turn 12, if not this time, then on the next lap into the penalty box, the 200-metre marked area at 50 kilometres an hour, which means you lose about 5 seconds, and at this stage of the race, where they're all bunched together, probably a couple of positions as well.
Yeah, so a double birthday present for the Holzman twins from the race stewards there. I have a message for you: stop walking under ladders, because we need some good luck for the Holzman twins. Their season has not been great. They didn't even start the races at Oschersleben due to a crash in qualifying. Yesterday, they finished in 11th place. We're looking for something a lot better today, but this is going to relegate them. You saw Sandro driving through that penalty box, a box that is marked on the exit of turn 12. You have to pass through it at no more than 50 kilometers an hour. It's something akin, as you already mentioned, to a 5-second penalty, but with the cars so bunched together, that's going to give them a long afternoon ahead of them as they try to work their way back forwards.
Eduardo Costing here in the number 10 FK Performance BMW, looking very racy through turns 1 and 2. He was all over the back of Finn Wiebelhaus in that light grey coloured number 3 at Mercedes, but couldn't find a way through this middle portion of the lap. It's almost single file, really. It's very difficult to find a way through unless somebody makes a mistake, so probably going to have to wait half a chance maybe at turn 11 under braking, but probably have to wait until the exit. Oh, and off has gone the Liqui Moly Audi straight into the gravel trap. That is turn 1 by looks of it. Yeah, so Jonas Karklis has gone straight on there, and he's got a long way into the gravel trap, hasn't he?
That's going to be a safety car. They're not going to leave that there. So, safety car, I reckon, will be out very shortly. I mean, it's not definite. It might be a full course yellow. At the moment, Simon Conor Prim, our race leader, is under investigation for inconsistent speed during the formation lap. We saw that he and Salman Vega were very separated as the safety car comes out, and it might well be that they are that Simon Conor Prim is going to have some kind of penalty coming his way if the race stewards believe that he has held back unnecessarily or raced forwards unnecessarily. So yes, we've got an indication it is turn 6, we think, that the number 8 car is stranded. Turn 7, so yes, up on the gravel trap. Let's have a look, see what happened. All on his own, got out onto the grass and across the gravel trap. Well, it slowed him down a bit. Did he make actual contact with the fence? He just about came to a halt before there was any damage done. Yeah, that's the end of the day for that car. So stranded out on the gravel trap, and yeah, well, that's a mechanical failure, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like their suspension's gone there on the left rear corner. Don't think that was as a result of going through the gravel trap. So that very likely what sent the driver off into the gravel trap. And just to put it into perspective, they go into that corner, 5th gear, 235 kilometres an hour. So a very quick entrance to that corner. So Simon Conor Prim, who set the fastest lap yesterday, had a penalty, an extra pit stop yesterday to try and come through the field, but he leads the race. We get a look back at the restart now, and it was a very good start really for both of the front row drivers. Slightly hanging back there was the Mercedes of Salman Vega, but a much better start than his teammate David Schumacher had yesterday.
Yes, well, in news from the steward's office, a number of cars are under investigation, so it isn't just Simon Conor Prim, it's also car 63, Tim Zimmerman, and also Salman Vega in car 2. So, 3 of the 4 cars at the front of this race under investigation. I should think Mike David Ortman in 3rd place is probably rubbing his hands together. We can see the view from Max Osten at the start of the race. There's Alex Schwarzer as well. That was the view from him. That was Tom Callender sailing through from the back of the pack. But the stewards are looking at an awful lot of video at the moment. So 3 of the 4 cars at the front under investigation. Now added to that, car 3 under investigation as well. So that's Finn Wiebelhaus. So a number of cars under investigation for a false start. Now the start quite heavily regulated. They're not meant to hold back. They're meant to cross the start-finish line side by side. We commented on that. Oh, good job there. Bit of climbing the walls, stay out the tyres. Yeah, so the start of the race, the drivers also are meant to pass through their grid boxes. So there may have been an issue with cars fanning out. So the race stewards have got a bit of work to do there, because there are a number of cars under investigation, including our race leader, including 2nd place, including 4th place. So Max Osten, who's made his way into 5th place, Mike David Ortman in 3rd, are the only 2 at the moment amongst that group who are not under investigation.
Yeah, we saw a replay on board with Simon Vega from the front row of the grid before they got to the grid hatchings, and you can see why they're looking at Simon Conner-Prim, because the Lamborghini went forwards in the picture, then backwards in the picture, then forwards in the picture, then backwards in the picture, whereas Simon Vega did seem to keep a more consistent speed. So that's what they're looking at, and of course that affects everybody that's behind him on that side of the grid, 3rd, 5th, 7th on the grid and so forth, because they're having to get on and off the throttle, and that affects their start positions as well. So that's what they're looking at. Driver absolutely fine and out of the way, but Skarklis' Audi is being pulled to a safer position by the telehandler and the marshals. They've hooked it up very quickly indeed. Probably a good job for the stewards that have had this breather to be able to look at all these things they've got to look at in terms of false starts and false procedures as well. The safety car is good news for a few drivers, particularly Tom Callender. Obviously he started to make his way through the field pretty quickly anyway, but having been held up by cars which he'd normally be well in front of, well, the front runners start to get away, but now they're all queued up in front of him. And also good news for Sandro Olsen, who'd lost that time going through the penalty box. He still lost the positions, but he's right back on the tail now of Chandler Hull.
Well, we can see a replay of that start. There was a lot of accelerating and decelerating, wasn't there? Certainly they didn't cross the line side by side. We had it yesterday with David Schumacher, who appeared to be holding back a little. There was no penalty there. Now, the question is, was it Simon Conner-Prim pushing ahead, or was it Simon Vega backing out of it? It's a difficult one, really, to... you could see that, and you could hear that Vega was accelerating and decelerating, couldn't you?
Yeah, could you see that from the exterior camera as well? Could you get probably a better view of who was doing what, or if they did, they were both doing it. But you see exactly where they need to take a look at that. Looks like it's going to be another lap behind the safety car, but I would imagine at the end of this lap we'll be able to get back up to full speed, and that'll be leaving us with about 47 minutes left on the clock, something like that. So Simon Conner-Prim leads at the moment. Salman Vega, the reigning champion, he won different team, different co-driver last year alongside Elias Seppenham, but Salman Vega looking for his first win of the season. He's now in 2nd place in the Mercedes, and the Mercedes should be a bit more competitive today, having had shed 10 kilograms of BOP ballast. Then the Aston Martin and Mike David Ortman, 2-time GT4 champion, in 3rd place, and Tim Zimmerman, who was actually quickest in qualifying but had the grid penalty, 4th. The safety car confirmed as coming in on this lap. Right, so this is looking back from the pole sitter, isn't it? So is he going backwards and forwards?
Well, he isn't, I don't think. I mean, that's quite consistent, I think. Having said that, that is as they've crossed the line. I'm pleased I'm not the one making the decisions here. You could be off someone's someone's Christmas card list and their safety car list with the decisions that are made. The race stewards have so many angles. They have cameras pointing in every direction here. They have all the data at their fingertips. So if and when there are any decisions made, we will let you know straight away. At the moment, with less than 49 minutes remaining on the clock, the cars are now getting ready to restart this, the 4th race of the season, a 12th race season for their League of Super Sports Cars, the ADAC GT Masters. The safety car lights will go off in a few moments, and he will disappear off into the distance. Then it will be the job of Simon Conner-Prim to become the de facto safety car. He will control the pace. He'll want to back the pack up. The lights are off there on the safety car, so now it disappears off. The one thing Simon Conner-Prim must not do is catch the safety car, so he will back back it up. The cars will not be allowed to overtake each other until they get to the start-finish line, but they'll want to open up the gap as much as possible to the car behind. So Simon Prim will want to try and catch Salmon Vega napping if he possibly can. He'll want to be hitting the accelerator at about the same time that Salmon Vega is lifting his foot off his. Try and open up a gap, try and get a cushion at the front. When the safety car came out, Salmon Vega was looking pretty dangerous in that second place. That Mercedes looking very strong here at Circuit Zandvoort. So up onto the banking at turn 14 we come. Safety car has gone. Simon Prim has done what he needed to do. Foot on the accelerator, opened up a bit of a gap. The space back to Mike David Ortman in third has increased.
Penalty lap coming the way of the race leader, Simon Prim, for inconsistent speed during the formation lap. So either this time around or the next time, he's going to have to go through that penalty box. It's going to cost him 5 seconds. But as I said, with everybody bunched up together at this stage, it's going to cost him an awful lot of positions as well. Probably be better off leaving it until the second time around. Finn Wiebel has meanwhile diving up the inside and putting the number 63 Tim Zimmerman car back behind him as they made their way through turn 3. So that squabble for 4th place going in favour of the Mercedes. You can see the cars hopping and skipping over the tarmac through turns 4 and 5 as they climb up the hill. And a penalty lap as well for a full start for Tim Zimmerman, who just lost that position as well. So things going from bad to worse, those two Lamborghinis.
Car number 3, we saw Finn Wiebelhaus just overtaking not only Zimmerman but Max Osten as well, but he also is going to be visiting the penalty box for a false start. So everything that you're seeing in front of you is going to get scrambled here because the stewards have stepped in. There are a number of penalty laps coming. Finn Wiebelhaus, Tim Zimmerman and Salmon Vega. Simon Prim has to visit the penalty box as well. So challenges as Tom Callender coming through on the outside of Max Rice. That'll be for 10th place. The penalty lap also for Salmon Vega in 2nd place. They might as well pass the whole filter in the penalty box at this rate. Finn Wiebelhaus, you can see the damage that it does by how far he's dropped back there.
Yeah, so Callender will move up to 9th place now because that was another place gained due to the run through the penalty box. Personally, I'd have waited until the next lap, try to get a bit further away from those behind. But the Mercedes opting to come in straight away. Prim has stayed out. I don't blame him. He's got to get his head down for 3/4 of a lap now and try and put as far away from those behind him as he can. So he hopefully negates some of the positions that he's going to lose with that trip through the penalty box. But he has got to come in this time. You can only go past the board on the pit lane, wall once maximum. So Prim, 1.9 seconds clear at the moment. 5 seconds would cost him 5 places. He's dropped back to 6th position.
This is all playing into the hands of Mike David Ortman in 2nd place at the moment. The BCMC and Volkenhorst Motorsport Aston Martin Vantage GT3 is going to inherit the race lead where Simon Prim goes through the penalty box. So exactly what he wants, and all the drivers around him falling by the wayside. Keep an eye on Max Osten, currently in 4th place. He is going to benefit from this as well. So it's all to play for here. We look at the view back from Salmon Vega in 8th place in the graphic at the side of your screen. But the rest of the cars circulating at the moment will wait for the penalty laps to be completed. See how it shakes up. That is the penalty box. There is our race leader, our former race leader, Simon Prim, passing through, followed by Tim Zimmerman. So all change at the front. Mike David Ortman inherits the lead of the race.
Yeah, leader down to 5th place because, of course, the Zimmerman car came in as well, and back behind Max Rice, so back down to 10th place, I reckon, has gone Tim Zimmerman. So all change. Mike David Ortman suddenly finds himself, rather than being 1.8 seconds behind, 1.8 seconds in front, and Max Osten up to 2nd place. From the back of the grid yesterday, he said, I'd take 5th place any day. I was well pleased with that. Finn Wiebelhaus trying to fight back, and he gets past the Porsche of Alex Schwarzer. Of course, that safety car was good news for Alex Fack, because Alex Schwarzer in that white Porsche there is the Pro-Am driver. He's not as quick in theory or as experienced. He goes wide there coming out of turn 3 as well as the other drivers, but more laps behind the safety car, less laps for the others to get away. So a chance for Alex Fack to, when he gets into the car as soon as he can, I would suggest, get another good result for that team. They've had 3 8th place finishes so far in the Porsche.
And on that note, to remind you, in ADAC GT Masters, there will be a pit window that will open 25 minutes into the race. It will remain open for 10 minutes, and during that 10-minute window, every car will need to come into the pits for a mandatory stop and driver change. But to just make life a little bit more interesting, every car will need to have a minimum pit stop time of 85 seconds from pit entry to pit exit, with the exception of car number 4, who has a minimum pit stop time of 70 seconds. The reason for that, because Alex Schwarzer is a bronze-rated driver. It's a pro-am partnership. It means they are stationary for 15 seconds less in the pit stops, and that is why that safety car is so significant, because when Alex Fack jumps in the seat of that Porsche, he will be stationary for 15 seconds less than the rest of the field. Makes life very interesting indeed, so we've always got one eye on that red and white Porsche.
Yeah, and yesterday with the drivers starting in the other order, it actually came out of the pit stops in the lead, didn't it? But it slipped back as the less experienced driver, Schwarzer, fell back. He did put some good defending driving in there, and with Fack to get in later on, they'll fancy their chances of not just repeating a top 8 finish from the first 3 rounds of the season, but bettering it and maybe even having half a chance of a podium with all of the issues with these penalties for the front runners, and plus the issue for Tom Callender and Elias Zeppelin trying to come through from the back of the field. There is the copper-coloured and white Landgraf #1 car up to 8th place now. Still though, finding they can't get past Salman Vega, and Salman Vega in turn is stuck behind the Porsche of Cat Finger. Looks quicker, tries to have a look at the inside on the way into turn 9. Nothing doing there. They go briefly up to 3rd gear, back down to 2nd, about 90 kilometres an hour through his very tight 90-degree left-hander to wind it back onto the back straight. Meanwhile, Mike David Ortman at 1.5 seconds clear. The gaps come down because Max Osten in the BMW in 2nd place, number 54, quickest lap of the race last time round.
Of course, Max Osten, the only Dutch driver in this race. A lot of friends, family and fans here filling the grandstands at Zandvoort. He would love to take the top step of the podium here at his home race at Zandvoort. Tom Callender making great progress. To remind you, he is carrying 20 kilos of success ballast on account of winning the race yesterday. He and Elias Zeppelin won yesterday with 20 kilos on board already on account of winning last time out at Oschersleben. Tim Zimmerman is carrying extra 10 kilos as a result of finishing 2nd yesterday. Mike David Ortman an extra 5 kilograms as a result of finishing 3rd yesterday. And I'm wondering how much difference that 5 kilograms is going to make when you've got the mighty BMW of Max Osten closing in on you.
Yeah, just good battle going on for 4th between Simon Conor-Prim and Jean-Luc Doria as well. Lamborghini fending off Ferrari for the time being. The Emile Frey Racing Ferrari hopping and skipping through, more weight on the Ferrari today as well, or Ferraris, possibly or probably as a result of a Ferrari winning DTM yesterday, Jack Aitken. So that car with a bit more weight on board than it had yesterday, but it's been driven very well by Jean-Luc Doria. Then there's this bit of a gap back to this train of 3 cars still scrapping over 6th place, with Cat Finger, Vega and Callender 6th, 7th and 8th, all within a second of each other. But this is the battle for the lead of the race. Aston Martin versus BMW. Mike David Ortman versus Max Osten, the driver 2nd in the championship, the former BMW M2 Cup champion and M2 Cup Benelux champion. Osten absolutely flying at the moment. His home circuit. He did have a great run here last year, but he is absolutely flying here. Drove really well yesterday, as did his teammate Leon Kohler, to get a 5th place from the, or near the back of the field. And now he'd like a race win. Very, very wide for a couple of cars there, including Simon Conor-Prim. But look at this, nose to tail for the lead of the race as they head into turn 1 at Tarzan. Max Osten might have to go the long way around though, because the inside line is covered here by the 2-time GT4 champion.
Max Osten looking so strong. That BMW has so much pace around here, looking for his 2nd win of the season. He sees a gap on the inside of turn 2. He's going to go high. Is he going to go high? Yes, he is. But so does Mike David Ortman in turn 3, then launching off the banking into turn 4 and up the hill towards turn 5. Max Osten still menacing him. He's running out of overtaking opportunities at this part of the circuit, although no one appears to have told him that much. Downhill they come towards turn 7, a little squirt of the power towards turn 8, and then into 9 and 10, and then Max Osten will want to be tucked up as close as he can to Mike David Ortman to have another challenge. He's still filling his mirrors, still still trying to press him into a mistake. I have to say, you have to get up pretty early in the morning to put one over Mike David Ortman, an experienced pilot, the most experienced pilot in the field of the ADAC GT Masters. Learning the ropes here for with Dennis Bulatov, his new teammate for this year. The 2 times GT4 champion, moving to GT3 for a full season in the GT Masters. But now Mike David Ortman leading the way, but Max Osten closer than ever. In towards 13 they come. He'll want to be as close as possible here. Turn 13, then flat on the accelerator around the 18 degrees of banking. Allows him to potentially pick up a slipstream along the pit straight, following behind the Aston Martin. Will he go left? Will he go right? Will he stay behind? The answer is he will go to the outside of Mike David Ortman. Once again, Ortman has him covered off. Still nothing going on, or is there? Turn 2, but Ortman just making that Aston Martin as wide as possible. The BMW trying to fill a gap that is closing rapidly in front of him. Up onto turn 3, very much as you were.
Expertly driven that by the race leader. He knew exactly what was coming. He knew where the attack was going to come from, and he positioned the Aston Martin inch perfectly in the right place, never left the gap, but didn't over-defend either, didn't go too tight into the corners, so he was wide coming out and let an opportunity to the BMW on the exit either. So really well driven by Mike David Ortman. Good, fair, close competition between these two. And if they start to hold each other up, the next BMW of Eduardo Cosseteng is catching them up as well. He's not been quite as quick as Max Osten, but he's been quicker than the race leader. You can see that he's having to defend quite fervently on the run through turns 8, 9 and 10. They come down the straight now to the end of the second sector, over a crest, and it's a downhill braking zone into this chicane. This is very heavily cambered as well. You have to attack the curbs through the first part of that run. The right-hander out of turn 12 they come, and now they'll start to build up the speed. By the time they get to the banking at turn 14, they'll already be doing 200 kilometers an hour, and by the end of the back straight they'll be doing around about 260 kilometers an hour. They take the low line, nose to tail, and here we go again. The race leader, Mike David Ortman, knows exactly what's coming. He's closer to him earlier in the lap this time as well. Right alongside him, nose in front now. He's going to commit to the braking zone around the outside at Tarzan. Eventually, he might have the inside line when they get to turn 3 in the BMW. He's almost run out of road. He's on the curbs, but he's going to get through. And into the lead of the race. Fantastic driving from Max Osten, the new race leader.
Max Osten, what a drive around the outside of Mike David Ortman. Mike David Ortman, an experienced driver. There's a reason why he's a graduate of the Aston Martin Racing Drivers Academy, but there was nothing he could do with the might of that car behind him. Now staring at the back of the BMW. Still valuable points in his championship hunt, but Max Osten, our new race leader, Leon Köhler, will be watching on from the pits, because before too long he will be driving that car. Here's a replay out along the pit straight. Absolutely clinical stuff from Max Osten. Properly expert stuff to the outside on turn 1. Goes the long way around, then just hangs it all out. Knows he's going to have the inside on the next corner and pulls in front of the Aston Martin. Expert driving. I know Max Osten has done a fair few laps around here, but that takes an awful lot of skill. We are 10 seconds away from the pit window opening. This 10-minute window when every car will need to come into the pits for a mandatory stop and driver change. I get the feeling that Max Osten will not be too eager to hand over the wheel of that BMW. He is having a great time in front of his home fans here at Zandvoort.
Yeah, I think the majority of the drivers in that lead group are going to push it towards the end of the pit window, the 10-minute pit window, because they are tending to be the quicker drivers. Not all of them, though. Meanwhile, just further back, Schwarzer in the Porsche lost 2 places to Holtzman and JJ Bernhardt last time out. But in has come Mike David Ortman. I thought he might stay out a bit longer, but he's come in as well as come Salman Vega, and Max Rice also coming in his Mercedes. There's another one coming in the background as well. So 4 cars opting to come in right at the start of the session. It is not surprisingly Alexander Schwarzer that's come in the Porsche to hand over to his more experienced and slightly quicker teammate Alex Fack. They're going to have the much shorter pit stop, 15 seconds less, so that Porsche should easily come out as the leading pit stopper when they are released in less than a minute's time.
So Finn Wiebelhaus in the background, handing over to Kwanda Mokoena, the South African driver, a real fan of racing, a really likeable person. Max Rice as well, who was in Formula 4 last year with his MR28 app. Check it out, giving you all the details. There's Alex Fack in the driving seat. We saw him in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany last year. We saw him at Silverstone winning in Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. Leading the way at the moment, Max Osten. There is the car 10 of Eduardo Kozateng in a very similar car, teammate in second place. But Simon Conner-Prim, after that penalty, coming back at him in the number 33 Lamborghini. So this is the fight for second place at the moment. But Jean-Luc Deoria has made good progress up to fourth place. Also, Johannes Kapfinger in fifth, just behind.
Actually, the Aston Martin has managed to get out ahead of the Porsche, so that'll be frustrating for Alex Fack. So the number 34 Aston Martin is the leading pit stopper. Denis Bulatov gets out first ahead of Alex Fack, and then it's the Mercedes. It costs you like a lap pretty much to make that pit stop, because there is the race leader, and the problem for him is he's getting stuck in the traffic now. So this is looking back at the race leader, trying to get a lap on the one of the cars that's just come in to make the pit stop, the Mercedes. So that's really frustrating for him. It's David Schumacher behind the wheel of that car now for HRT, and the car gets very leery as it comes over the crest. The Mercedes, that opens up the door, and that's a godsend really for the BMW driver Max Osten, because if he hadn't got through there, he probably wouldn't have been able to get through for another half a lap.
Yes, critical laps on the in and out laps from the pits, an opportunity to make space. A lot of drivers that were in traffic choosing to pit earlier in the pit window to maybe get out on some open track and try and get an undercut on the car in front. But David Schumacher still just getting up to speed. Remember, he's been sat in the pits for the first half hour of this race, whereas Max Osten has been running in it all the way. Now to the inside, it is Simon Conner-Prim, Eduardo Kozateng running side by side. BMW versus Lamborghini. Advantage Kozateng at the moment, but Simon Conner-Prim so rapid in the Paul Motorsport Lamborghini. In towards turn 13 they come. You get a feeling that Conner-Prim wants to make a move out of 14, but Kapfinger, Johannes Kapfinger in the background, wants to get involved in this battle as well. And across the line they come. Out of turn 14, it's flat out along the pit straight. All to play for here at Zandvoort.
Yeah, a couple of others coming out the pits as well, including Alan Valente, last year's championship runner-up in his Ferrari, and the championship leaders at the moment, with Elias Sepinen now behind the wheel of the Landgraf Mercedes, the white and copper-coloured number 1 car. So that was running in the top 8 before the pit stop window happened. Number 19, GRT Grasser Racing Lamborghini comes out as well, with Gerhard Tveras, who's making his debut in GT Masters this weekend, behind the wheel for the second stint. Look at this, absolutely nose to tail. And this is for position. Both these cars have made their pit stop, so this has been a good stop, a good turnaround for the Emil Frey Racing squad, because that Ferrari is now ahead of David Schumacher's Mercedes.
Still 6 cars yet to make their mandatory stop. You can see the countdown clock. That's how long they need to be in the pits for, from pit entry to pit exit. That's when the timer stops and starts. At the moment, David Schumacher, Alan Valente fighting for position. They have all stopped in that area as well. Behind them, Elias Sepinen, a very rapid driver, of course, the championship leader, taking over from Tom Callender, coming through from the back of the pack. But Elias Sepinen catching up with Schumacher up ahead of him. Now Schumacher to the outside of Alan Valente in the Ferrari towards turn 13. Once again, Schumacher going for the inside line. I wonder if he was going to wait for the pit straight. He didn't need to. Through into 10th place for David Schumacher.
Yeah, well driven that by the former DTM racer, former Formula 3 race winner. That's for 3rd of the pit stoppers. So Schumacher now up to 3rd of those that have made a pit stop, and as you say, needed to do it because that other Mercedes is looming large in the mirrors of the Finnish driver Elias Sepinen. So these are 3rd, 4th and 5th of those that have made a pit stop. Number 34 Aston Martin is the leading pit stopper, driven by Denis Bulatov. 2nd is the number 4 Alex Fack driven Porsche. Then these 3 cars battling over 3rd of the pit stoppers, but you've still got Ooston and Cosseteng and Prim to come in and make their pit stops in the next 4 minutes or so. Ferrari of Alain Valente getting a bit leery. That had to try and come through the order yesterday after a qualification misdemeanor. And here is a replay on board with David Schumacher. This was beautifully set up, round the outside into turn 13, and then did the dummy really, cut back down the inside, got the traction down nicely on the Mercedes. That was very well executed.
Brilliant stuff from David Schumacher, the driver that we've seen in DTM over the last couple of years, in GT Masters for this year. High expectations for him, and that's exactly why they're high expectations. Such a good driver. Background Quantum Mocoeno just getting a bit leery coming out of the corner. There is Elias Seppänen just disappearing out of the picture in the gold and white car. We're on board with our race leader, Max Ooston, guessing that he is going to want to stretch this as late as possible, but he must not miss the pit window. There would be a massive penalty that would be so costly, but get the feeling he'll probably stay out for another lap at least before he ducks into the pits. Eduardo Cosseteng, great solid job in second place.
Tim Zimmerman is just leaving his pit box. There he is coming down the inside of your picture. I think he's going to lose out here, isn't he? He's going to lose out quite a few positions compared to where he was. He'd already obviously had that run through the penalty box, and he's going to slot in, I think, just behind Elias Seppänen. No, just in front of him. But Elias will want to get past here straight away. Straight away, he gets on the throttle and he looks to the inside, but the inside line is covered by the Lamborghini, and that'll be hugely, hugely frustrating for the Finnish driver. He's flashing his headlights now as they go over the crest, and it's downhill as they go through the left at turn 5 and uphill through turn 6. The car sparks as he bottoms out the Lamborghini. Over the crest they come, but it looks like he's managed to just about keep him at bay. So Benjamin Heites, the Chilean driver, doing a good job there to fend off what could be one of their big championship rivals for the season.
Oh, brilliant stuff from Benjamin Heites. Yes, very much championship contenders. Elias Seppänen, though, sees a gap on the inside. The inside will become the outside. He changes line, but Heites not allowed to change direction more than once under braking. Elias Seppänen, the back end of the car, stepping out as he gets on the power just a little bit quicker than Heites. Still following his every move in the background. Quantum Mocoeno ready to jump if these two get together, but still holding on to that position at the moment. We've still got 4 cars that are yet to pit, including our race leader, Max Ooston. So it's going to have to be next time around for our race leader. If he doesn't pit now, Benjamin Heites going wide in the corner. Elias Seppänen out of turn 14. He comes, picking up the slipstream along the pit straight out towards turn 1. This is going to be the opportunity for Seppänen. Our leader is into the pits. So Max Ooston coming in to hand over to Leon Köhler. Also Eduardo Cosseteng coming in. He'll be handing over to Gregory de Cyborg. So both BMWs coming in together. Also Simon Conner-Prim, he's in to hand over to Jonas Greif.
Looks like Janus Fitcher came out of the pits just right in front of the Ferrari of Alain Valente. So they are 5th and 6th of the pit stoppers. He's kept ahead of him looking at the track map coming out of turn 3. So number 34, Aston Martin, is the leading pit stopper. That's up at turn 7 at the moment. It is closely followed by the number 4 Porsche of Alex Fack. So Bolotov and Fack coming through turn 8. There's a bit of a gap back then to Michael Kapfinger, who has emerged 3rd of the pit stoppers in the bright yellow number 91 Porsche. David Schumacher, though, is right on his case. And then there's another pair fighting over 5th and 6th of the pit stoppers, with still that number 3 Mercedes just ahead of the number 14 Ferrari. So the leading pit stopper just about to come into the braking zone for turn 11 and into the final sector. And where will it emerge in relation to these that are in the pits now? It should be that this number 54 Leon Köhler driven BMW should emerge in the overall race lead. It's coming down the pits now, and the leading pit stopper only just coming through the banking at turn 14 now. There he is.
Leon Köhler, less experienced in GT Masters than some of the drivers around him, but a very, very rapid driver. This being his 6th race in ADAC GT Masters, but having taken over from all the hard work from Max Ooston, a lot of space there, so job done, great job done. Denis Bolotov has taken over from Mike David Ortman, so Bolotov coming through as well.
Number 10 BMW has really lost out during that pit stop phase, hasn't it? De Cyborg now behind the wheel of the car, but when Cosseteng was behind the wheel of the car with those drivers all having their penalties, it was up to 3rd place, but it's going to be way down out of the top 6 now. And look at this, as Elias Seppänen has another go here to get past the Lamborghini. That's a fantastic move. Totally brave stuff. He just threw it down the inside. It's so narrow down there. And that was a mega move. So he gets ahead of Heighties. Heighties is scared off out of the way. And they get Quando Mokoena breathing down his neck in that bright blue Mercedes as well now.
That is why Elias Seppänen is the defending champion of ADAC GT Masters, at least one of them. What a brilliant move. To remind you, that car has come from the very back of the pack. Now that the graphics have sorted themselves out, it's Leon Köhler who leads the way. Successful pit stop sequences, having taken over from Max Osten. Dennis Bulatov now at the seat of the car that was being driven by Mike David Ortman. And Alex Fack, he's in a good position there. He's a silver-rated driver. He's in third place. He must fancy his chances of retaining a podium here. Marco Kapfinger in fourth place, ahead of David Schumacher in fifth, Gregory de Cyborg in sixth, and then Janis Fischer and Alan Valente. But quite a battle now going on. Car 10 fighting hard with those around him. Gregory de Cyborg's got Janis Fischer for company. We're on board with Alan Valente in eighth place. He's behind that particular battle as well. So Janis Fischer just ahead of Alan Valente and Gregory de Cyborg in the BMW. BMW versus Mercedes versus Ferrari. But look who's in the background. Elias Seppänen in ninth place, and he's going to be closing in on them. So Elias Seppänen just a fraction of a second behind them. To the inside, to the outside. Car 10 defending for all he's worth, but Janis Fischer finally moving up into sixth place, picking up a bit of dirt. Alan Valente in there as well, relegating de Cyborg a couple of places in the space of just two corners, and now he's going to fall prey to Elias Seppänen in that ninth place.
Yeah, some fantastic scrapping going on here, isn't there? It's been a really lively race. Somebody whispered that it's quite hard to overtake around Zandvoort, but nobody told this lot, did they? It's been fantastic today, and it's not over yet. Some more great battles to come here. You're looking back at Benjamin Heighties trying to find his way through and get past the number 33 Lamborghini of Jonas Greif, and quicker than him at the moment. But again, there are only limited opportunities to get through on the lap, so probably again going to have to queue it up, sit back a bit and wait until he can go on the attack and the build up through the next two turns, through turns 13 and 14. He's got a bit of breathing space back to Mokoena in the Mercedes, so he can try some different lines on the way into this corner. Tarzan, the first corner. This is where it might all kick off if he can get close enough coming out of the banking. I'm not sure he is, though. He'll build up a bit of momentum now. He'll get a bit of a toe, but I think he's a bit too far back, isn't he? So nothing doing yet. Meanwhile, we go back to the battle between the number 10 Gregory de Cyborg BMW and the number 1 Elias Seppänen Mercedes, 8th and 9th overall.
21.5 minutes remaining of this race, the fourth race of the season in the ADAC Championship 2024, the League of the Super Sports Cars. It's Leon Köhler leading the way, 3.4 seconds ahead of Dennis Bulatov. Alex Fack, 2.6 seconds ahead of Michael Kapfinger. Then David Schumacher, Janis Fischer, Alan Valente. Then this battle here, Gregory de Cyborg in 8th place, the defending champion in the ADAC GT Masters, Elias Seppänen in 9th, but monstering the Mercedes. He'll want to be as close as possible in the latter part of this lap to try and make a move. Now look at this, Alex Fack, the Pro-Am driver pairing that he was with Schwarzer, up with Dennis Bulatov for second place. For Alex Fack, not settling for third. He's up with the Aston Martin into turn 13, up towards 14. Alex Fack, is he close enough to make a challenge? It's Aston Martin versus Porsche out along the pit straight. I think Fack is just a little bit too far back at this point, but maybe a challenge is going to be incoming. Also, David Schumacher closing in on Michael Kapfinger just behind him as well. So plenty of fighting going on throughout the pack, but especially for the podium positions, the last of the podium positions. There is the third place, red and white Porsche. Second place, black and gold Aston Martin going high on turn 3. Still Fack unable to close up. Now here's where all the hard work happens. It's out on turn 4, 5 and 6. This is his opportunity to try and get closer. That Porsche really has the legs through those corners, but does he have the grunt coming out onto the pit straight? So at the moment, Alex Fack just braking as late as he dare, trying to hit all the apexes exactly right to close in on second place Dennis Bulatov. So he was up into turn 8 at the moment, then to turn 9. Meanwhile, further back, Jonas Greif looking under pressure. Benjamin Heites is up with him. It is a Lamborghini versus Lamborghini fighting for 10th place, but there's Max Rice as well, the former Formula 4 driver in 12th place, closed in on those two Lamborghinis and challenging for position. He moves to the inside of Benjamin Heites with relative ease. You get a feeling the Mercedes has really dialed in here again, but Heites coming back, a gap on the inside, and Benjamin Heites says, oh no, some of that, and Rice with 2 wheels on the dirt, he somehow gathers it all up. I should think that Juliana Holzem had a bit of a moment there as well with all that taking place in front of him.
Well, Drift Racing Championship there for a moment, wasn't it? But great car control for Mokoena. He could have been into the barriers there, but he caught it really well. It sucked him back into the path of Juliana Holzem as well. Let's have a look at a replay. He's on the outside line. He's got no room. He goes through the gravel, on the grass. Then it bites the back end when it rejoins the tarmac and almost oversteers and pitches him into a spin. But he held on to it really, really well. It's a great duel going on there, but he just was given no room and he had to take to the gravel trap and onto the grass. And they're being reeled in by the group behind as well. Alex Fack is desperate to get through here on the Aston Martin because Catfinger is coming in the background. He's bringing the Mercedes of Schumacher with him. They've both been 2 or 3 tenths of a second quicker than this battle at the moment as well. So you ride on board with Alex Fack in 3rd place. Dennis Bolotov in the Aston Martin just ahead of him in 2nd, but they've been caught by Catfinger in 4th and Schumacher in 5th. And a quick provisional points calculation. As it stands, Zeppelin and Callender will only lead the championship by 6 points now. They're in 9th place. They're only going to get 7 points, whereas Maxime Osten and Leon Kohler are going to get the full 25 if they stay where they are in the lead. So they'll get the gap down from 24 points to 6 during this race. And actually, over the course of the weekend, they'll have scored more points than the championship leaders because they'll have a win and a 5th. But as it stands, a win and a 9th for Callender and Zeppelin. And I bet they wouldn't have believed that when he told them yesterday morning when the clutch went, they couldn't even get into qualifying 1, that they'd end up closing the championship leaders down over the course of the weekend.
Amazing, and with that 4-second gap at the front with 17.25 minutes plus 1 lap remaining, they must be feeling confident, but there's still plenty of time yet. We're having another look at Elias Seppänen on the outside of Gregory de Cyborg. A little bit of contact, hopefully no damage there, but you can see more than just a little nudge between the BMW and the Mercedes. Elias Seppänen ducking back behind. We'll have another go shortly for that 8th place, but one eye on Alex Fack. He has been pedaling like mad to catch up with Dennis Bolotov in the Aston Martin. He looked closer than ever coming out of 14 just now, but it looks to maybe have dropped back a bit. He's suddenly got an issue with another Porsche behind him, and that being Michael Catfinger, who has closed in. Now, if Alex Fack makes the move on Dennis Bolotov and it doesn't stick, he may well find himself relegated further back. So does he challenge? And Kwanda Mokoena, well, we saw him having a wild moment, didn't we? The car looks like the front right, there's a collapse of some sort on the suspension. I don't know if that's a puncture or something more, but smoke pouring from that car. What a shame. So Kwanda Mokoena, who took it over from Max Rice, looks...
Puncture, I think.
Is that a puncture, or is it broken steering, maybe?
I mean, that's the side he went off the road on, wasn't it, with that battle with Heites?
And we got fire. There's flames underneath it. He needs to park up near a fire extinguisher, I think. So car 5, you can see the flames behind the headlight there. So that's the front of that car. I think he's had impact with something, you know, because the wing is hanging off as well. But he really needs to get near a fire extinguisher and get that car sorted.
Yeah, it's completely down on the front right corner, isn't it? And it's bodywork rubbing against the tyre as well, which I think is delaminated. No, it's still up, so yeah, it is elsewhere, but it could be from that big rough run over the curbs, and full course yellow comes out as a result of that. He parks up the car. That's at turn 8. Now he's done a good job there because he's right by the marshal post, which is what you're supposed to do if you can't get back to the pits. Park by your nearest marshal post, and he's by an escape route as well. Are we going to get a replay of what happened? A bit of bodywork flies off there, understeers. Does he get the barrier there?
I think he had a flat. I reckon the tyre exploded and then he went off into the barrier afterwards. That's what it looked like to me.
Get it.
Fortunately, the fire appears to have put itself out. That's good news. Not done that Mercedes a lot of favours, has it? Looking a little bit second-hand. Look at a replay here. and maybe we'll get a perspective. Yeah, you can see the dramatic pictures there, the fire burning in that right front wing. But I think that's put itself out. The full course yellow means that all the cars must reduce their speed to 80 kilometers an hour. So in theory, the gaps should stay the same. But I'm looking at the timing screen. The gap between first and second, 6.4 seconds. The race stewards monitor this very closely. If there are any drivers that are seen to be speeding under a full course yellow, there will be a penalty incoming.
So, as it stands, by my maths, 83 points for Zeppelin and Callender, 77 for Ouston and Kohler, just 6 behind if it stays like this. Third, Wiebelhaus and Fitcher on 57. Up to fourth, Mike David Ortman and Dennis Bulatov, because they'd be on for 2 podiums this weekend. Didn't have a great run at all, although they scored points at Oschersleben 6 weeks ago. But I think they started the weekend 9th in the championship, and they'll be up to 4th if it stays like this on 52 points. The Cat Fingers on 49, 5th, and then down to 6th, Heites and Zimmerman, who are, after a really positive qualifying performance this morning, then getting the penalty. The car which essentially was quickest in qualifying, then got the grid penalty, started 4th, only 11th. So Heites is going to be absolutely desperate to get past Greif, but he has been unable to do so, hasn't he, for 2 or 3 laps?
Yes, I think Jonas Greif, a steep learning curve. He was in Porsche's 6th Carrera Cup Germany last year, but doing a sterling job in that 10th place, having taken over from Simon Connor Prim. Benjamin Heites just doing all that he can. Gerhard Twereza in 12th place. He's standing in for Taylor. I always get this wrong, don't I? Taylor Hagler, there we go, who was in that car in Oschersleben, and Twereza sitting in for her. She's got other commitments this weekend. Right, we have no notification that full course yellow is about to finish, but I think it probably is. The crowd that are gathered here in the sunshine, well, there's a bit of a chilly wind, but it's a glorious day for a spot of motor racing here at Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands, a highlight of the calendar in the ADAC GT Masters. We love coming here, always made to feel welcome. The sun, well, normally shines on this beautiful beach venue, and we are always entertained with great racing. Right, full course yellow is about to end.
You say the gap was 6.4 seconds. It's 10.4 now.
Well, that's interesting.
Just noted.
Well, I hope Leon Köhler hasn't been speeding under the full course yellow, because if he has, there's likely to be an investigation. Of course, it's possible that Bulatov may have backed off, but yes, it was a 6-second gap going into the full course yellow. It's now 10.417. Let's hope there's not a sting in the tail for the leading car, number 54. Alex Fack up into 2nd place, ahead of David Schumacher. Michael Katfinger in 4th place. And this was a replay of Schumacher getting going. And I'm just looking to see what's happened to Bulatov, because I've got differing information on differing screens. Did Bulatov get going? No, he didn't. So I saw Alex Fack had jumped up into 2nd place.
Schumacher followed him, yeah.
And Schumacher too. So Bulatov, whether he just didn't know the full course yellow was finishing, or whether he's got an issue, but suddenly Bulatov and Mike David Ortman, absolute disaster.
Got an issue, hasn't he? That's why he dropped back behind the full course yellow. He lost 4 seconds. He shouldn't have lost anything behind the full course yellow, and then he just wouldn't go when he pulled the trigger, and they all shot past him. Good reactions as well from David Schumacher. It could have easily been a big pile up, that one. So disaster for them, and it all changes. And Fack now up to 2nd, Katfinger up to 3rd, and Schumacher up to 4th.
And there's Elias Seppänen still flashing the lights. Is Gregory de Cyborg in front of him, trying to get the jumper. Elias Seppänen up behind the BMW into turn 14. Once again out onto the pit straight, flashing the lights, doing what he can to distract. De Cyborg goes for the inside line and then to the outside. He can't change direction more than once under braking, taking a fairly middle ground through turn 1. Seppänen sees a gap, doesn't slot the Mercedes into it. To turn 2 they come. Gregory the Cyborg driving with one eye in front and one eye on the mirror. Elias Seppänen up high on the banking, following the BMW. Out towards turn 4. The Mercedes once again flashing the lights. No real major overtaking opportunities here. It's flat out, hitting all the apexes across the curbs, across the bumps. Spectacular pictures. Into turn 7 they come. It is the battle for 8th place, but still, Elias Seppänen not able to unsettle the BMW in front of him.
Bolotov was looking like he's more or less back on the pace for that first sector. I mean, he's slower than those ahead of him by about 0.3 to 0.4 of a second, but it wasn't disastrously slow. So back to 5th place now for the number 34 Aston Martin of Denis Bolotov, which was very slow to get away. It looked like it had an issue that maybe had been developing behind the full course yellow, but it seems to be okay now. I mean, it's definitely not right. I mean, he's losing 3 or 4 tenths per sector, but he's maybe finding a way around the problem. So update on the points as it remained in terms of the top 2. 57 now for Wiebelhaus and Fitcher, because obviously things have changed behind them. And look at that, the background, 3 abreast, nearly 4 abreast, as they all come firing out of turn 12 and missing most of the back left corner, back rear of the Lamborghini there. That's surely going to get a black and orange flag, isn't it, with that, unless it detaches itself, because that's going to be very, very leery, and it's also not going to be aerodynamically very sound. And there it goes. It releases itself. Thankfully, flies right over the top of the other 3 cars behind it. However, that's right in the middle of the start-finish straight, and that might possibly be a full course yellow or a safety car again. Yeah,
I've seen today safety cars and full course yellows for less things. We had a full course yellow earlier for a splitter on the track, so I get the feeling the yellows might be out again. Juliana Holzem is currently finding himself under pressure as well. So a lot of raging and fighting going on, but that Lamborghini lacking in a little bit of pace, potentially missing part of the bodywork. Yes, full course yellow is coming out.
Oh.
And Juliana Holzem getting onto the brakes. Now, was there contact from Jonas Greif? You saw some debris going flying.
Just ahead of them as well, Tfereza had a big sideways moment as, here we go, he's watched the Lamborghini first, the Gold Grasser Racing Lamborghini.
Oh.
No, it was just before that. But coming into that corner, almost exactly the same thing happened for Tfereza. And it's because of the full course yellow, they all slowed down, and Greif didn't realise quickly enough, or they all braked a bit sooner than he thought they were going to. So that'd probably be looked at as well.
Yeah, probably jacked him up there, didn't he? Less than 7.5 minutes remaining. There's confirmation. He's got the best job in the house. He's got the best view in the house. The full course yellow is out. A little over 7 minutes remaining. It's not going to take them long to clear this, so I reckon we're going to be back up and running again shortly, unless, of course, there's debris as a result of that collision that we just saw between Greif and Holzem. Here's another view of it. This is where they were going 3 abreast out of the corner. That is why the rear wing became detached. Lamborghini versus Lamborghini versus Lamborghini. The 63 car coming off the worst, with Benjamin Heites losing the rear quarter. No, it's just the rear panel of the car. It was the rear quarter. It was actually the back panel of it, wasn't it? That's going to do the handling no good at all. The rear bumper goes flying to the side of the track, and that is why we have a full course yellow. This is the view that Jonas Greif had of it, a grandstand view of the back of the car detaching. He moves to the outside, and the debris now to be cleared. Leon Köhler leading the way from Alex Fack. 9.6 seconds, we're back to green. We didn't think it was going to be a very long full course yellow. Well, that has been the case. So Köhler leading the way. Alex Fack, a little over 6 minutes remaining of this race, plus 1 lap. David Schumacher up into 3rd place. Michael Kapfinger in 4th, ahead of Denis Bolotov, with whatever that problem was, seems to have sorted itself. Then Janis Fitcher, Alan Valente, Gregory the Cyborg, Elias Seppänen in 9th place, seemingly unable to get past that BMW at the moment, and Benjamin Heites rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, it's been a good drive, hasn't it, from de Cyborg in the 2nd FK Performance BMW to keep Seppänen behind him as long as he had. He's been helped out by a few safety or full course yellow periods as well, which has given him a bit of breathing space and less time for Seppänen to fight his way through. So after a really good start, positive start from Tom Callender from the back of the field, it's all kind of ground to a halt, hasn't it? Stuck there down in 9th place. David Schumacher and Salman Vega in third place, on course for their first podium of the year. Remember, they led one of the races at Oschersleben when David Schumacher took the wheel of the car for the first stint, and then just before the pit window opened, had an issue with the brakes, and that was a retirement from what was looking like a potential race win, certainly a podium finish. So finally, fourth race of the season, the reigning champion, or one of the reigning champions, Salman Vega, and his new teammate for this year, David Schumacher, are on course for their first podium. And meanwhile, bits of Lamborghini are being returned down to the pit garage to be at some point reattached to the car in the future.
Yes, so it's out on turn 11. We've lost a bonnet now on the Lamborghini. It's slowly falling apart, isn't it?
It's going to be underweight at this rate.
Yes, there's a lot of debris out on turn 11 and round towards turn 12 in that chicane section of the track. I'm wondering whether we might get another full course yellow to move that, because it's right in the racing line, but there's, say, bits being shed from the car, right, left and centre. Jonas Greif sons a bonnet on that Lamborghini. Behind is Nico Hanske. He's been fairly quiet up until now in 14th place. Fancies a chance at 13th, because surely the Jonas Greif Lamborghini is not handling very well.
No, so the gap from first to second, only 5.5 seconds now. Alex Fack looking for his first podium of the season as well. Replay on Bobby Greif, and that was the moment, that was at turn 11, that he lost the bonnet. It's falling apart. It's got four wheels on still, though, so, and a steering wheel, so that'll do it for now.
That's all that matters. Yeah, I think the Lamborghini spare parts department are going to be working overtime, getting these cars back together for the next round, which will be at the Nürburgring in the second week of July. There's our race leader, Leon Köhler. Across the line he comes. We've got quite a wait for Alex Fack to come next, a 5.1 second wait to be precise. Then David Schumacher in that third place. Michael Kapfinger, Dennis Bulatov. Well, whatever was wrong with that Aston Martin feels like it has resolved itself. His lap times are good, so no issues there. Maybe it was just a little bit tardy getting out of the full course yellow.
Yeah, he's not where he should be. I mean, he's 1 minute 37, and those ahead of him are high 135s or low 136s. So he's still kind of a second a lap off the pace. He was 6/10 slower than Janis Fitcher in the Mercedes behind, and Janis is within 5 seconds of him now, so should be okay, but it might be pretty close with another lap after the 60 minutes come up. So Bulatov's still going to have to dig in to make sure he gets 5th place here.
I mean, Elias Seppänen is thoroughly fed up with looking at BMWs. He's been staring at the back of Gregory de Cyborg for what feels like most of his race. Still, de Cyborg, the grandson of Joe Siffert, the Formula One driver, doing a sterling job in 8th place, holding off the defending champion of the ADAC GT Masters, Elias Seppänen. Seppänen just doesn't seem to have the grunt where it counts to get past that BMW, but there he sees a gap on the inside. This time he makes it stick. So Gregory de Cyborg, as if on cue, leaves a gap, and now Elias Seppänen is through, stealing away 8th place.
He was going to get some beer off Leon Köhler and Max Osten for fending their title rivals off there for that position for the whole race, but that's been rescinded now. He's done a good job, though, because what he has allowed is that Ferrari, the Emil Frey Racing Ferrari, to get right away from him. So it's going to be difficult now, with not much time remaining, for Elias Seppänen to catch up to Alan Valente in the Ferrari. So 9th up to 8th place, and that will garner an extra championship point, which means the gap now at the end of the weekend will be 7 points between the top two in the standings as it stands.
Yellow flag is out in turn 11 for that debris, I expect, which means we should be able to get the last 90 seconds or so plus one lap of this race done without any more full course yellows. At least that's the theory. We are into a little over 1 minute plus one lap of this race. When the clock strikes 0, the lap that the leader's on will be completed, and then one more lap after that. He's up at turn 10 at the moment, so he's going to make it back to the start-finish line before the clock strikes 0. So I reckon about 2.5 laps remaining of this race. It's Leon Köhler firmly in control. Has taken over from Max Osten. A solid job. The remnants of the Jonas Greif car, several of the Lamborghinis missing body parts. Nico Hanske, 14th place at the moment. Fancies a little shot at 13th place. He's in the Aston Martin. A fairly quiet day so far. Took over from Chandler Hull. 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Our race leader coming up to turn 14 at the moment. moment. So a couple of laps remaining of this, the 4th race of the season.
Yeah, it's been a really good race, hasn't it? Lots of battles all the way through the field. We've had these mixed up grids. Still, they battle on. It's really important for Jonas Greif to try and keep Nico Hanke behind him just for that extra championship point in what's been a disappointing race for the Lamborghini pairing. Meanwhile, Leon Köhler just feel like he's controlling the gap now. He's keeping it at under 5 seconds. This, though, is the battle for second place, which is not over because Alex Fack in the Porsche, who takes the high line through the left-hander at turn 3, gets on the accelerator as they come out of Hugenholtz's corner and then builds up the speed through turn 5 at the bottom of the valley, up through turn 6, over the crest. David Schumacher is monstering him, though, in that Mercedes. Not satisfied with his first podium of the season. Schumacher looks like he wants to get second place if he possibly can. Alex Fack is also looking for his first podium of the season as well, and doing a good job to keep him behind in the Porsche. But to me, that Mercedes looks the quicker of the two at the moment. The big opportunity, of course, probably the last opportunity, is going to come on their next run into Tarzan at turn 1.
Can Alex Fack hold on to that second place in only his 4th ever race in GT Masters? The vastly more experienced David Schumacher behind him, but Alex Fack has not stood on the podium ever in GT Masters. 8th place was the best he's managed so far. 2nd place will be a dream ticket, but David Schumacher has got pretty well, I would say, about one more major opportunity to get past. We're looking down at turn 14. Here comes, well, the race leader crosses the line to start his final lap. Next will come Alex Fack. We're waiting a fair bit for that one to come. And here's David Schumacher, I think too far back to do anything about it.
Yeah, actually, Fack got a really good run coming out of turns 11 and 12. That gave him breathing space through the final 2 turns at 13 and 14. And even the Mercedes reeled him in a little bit on the way into Tarzan. As you say, he was already about 4 car lengths back, and he's nowhere near as close through turn 3 as he was. Another good effort from the Capfinger twins. They have been very consistent this year. Already had a podium at Oschersleben last time out, so that Porsche on for more good points, running at the moment in 4th place, and they are going to be into 4th in the championship standings, just ahead by a point of Heitz and Zimmerman.
So into turn 8 comes our race leader for the very last time, Leon Köhler. You can see on board with the picture that is set in on the left-hand side of your screen. But the battle for second place is not over. There's Max Osten getting ready. Dare he smile, dare he dream. The 2nd win of the season for the ADAC GT Masters is but less than half a lap away. Into turn 11 for the very last time, Leon Köhler took over from Max Osten. They started on the towards the front of the grid of this race, the 4th of the season. Max Osten was the first in the driving seat, then taken over by Leon Köhler. The battle for second rages on, but now out of turn 14, Leon Köhler taking the checkered flag and a win in front of the home crowd for Max Osten. 2nd across the line. Brilliant job for Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer. That will feel like something of a victory. And then in 3rd place, David Schumacher and Salman Vega. There is Max Osten celebrating their 2nd win of the season in the ADAC GT Masters. It was 5th place that they started from, of course. Max Osten working his way forwards in that BMW, benefiting from some of the penalties that were handed out, but you've got to be in it to win it. He did not break the rules at the start of the race. He was there when it counted, and it's Leon Köhler who then steered it home for victory for car 54 for FK Performance.
And what's left of the number 33 Lamborghini makes it to the checkered flag after a good late race duel there between Jonas Greif and Nico Hanke. But just looking at the gap from 7th to 8th, Elias Zeppelin went 1.2 seconds quicker than Alan Valente's Ferrari on the last lap of the race. So he got to within half a second of 7th place. If only he'd been able to get past Gregor de Cyborg earlier, then he might have picked up 1 or 2 more positions in that race. So 8th from the back is not bad, but given they're 8th at halfway stage, I'll be frustrated with that result.
So Leon Köhler helping Max Osten to take a win in front of his home crowd. Alex Fack and Alex Schwarzer, the Swiss pairing, great job for second place. Then David Schumacher, Salman Vega, the German pairing, rounding out the podium. The Kapfinger twins in fourth ahead of Bulatov and Ortmann. Whatever the problem was on that car, Bulatov managed to get it home. They're Janis Fitcher and Finn Wiebelhaus behind them in sixth place. Alan Valente, Jean-Luc de Oria finishing in seventh. Elias Seppänen, our championship leader, at Tom Callender, more valuable points. Remember, they were carrying 20 kilos of ballast. They won't be doing that at the next race, so they will be feeling very confident as they head into the next round of the Nürburgring. The next race is going to be something a little bit different. It's going to be a race that is just 40 minutes long, because the following day at the Nürburgring, they are going to be in a race that is 80 minutes long. The first time ever in the history of the ADAC GT Masters we're going to have an endurance race, but at the moment that is somewhere down the road, because the celebrations at Zandvoort are about to start. The wine will be flowing here off the North Sea coast in the Netherlands as Leon Köhler wins in front of his home fans. It was Leon Köhler in front of Max Osten's home fans for FK Performance. Brilliant stuff, but hats off to Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer for that second place. They really did a great sterling job.
Yeah, it did, didn't they? It was excellently done, and Alex Fack really had to work hard to keep David Schumacher behind him at the end of the race. You can see what that win means to Max Osten. Of course, on his home circuit, he'll be absolutely delighted with that. He said, I had a nightmare here in GT4 last year, but much better today. And he remained positive, he remained bright when I spoke to him after that clutch issue in the when they were warming up the car before qualifying one yesterday. So there's no point getting wound up about it. It won't do anybody any favours. We've just got to get on with it and do the best we can. And they've gained 14 places over the two races. I mean, they didn't qualify, so they should have started 16th on the grid yesterday, but others had penalties. They started 14th, they went up to 5th. They started 6th on the grid today and won the race. And as I say, overall, they've closed the gap this weekend at the top of the championship table to just 7 points. There it is, 84 points for Callender and Seppänen, 77 for Köhler and Osten. You get the sense, Brian, it's going to be a season-long battle between those two teams.
You do, and I have to tell you that Max Osten has won 50% of every GT Masters race he's ever started. He started in 6 races and he's won 3 of them. Of course, he won last year, if you remember. It was at the Red Bull Ring, wasn't it? On his debut weekend in the ADAC GT Masters. So without a doubt, a championship contender, a championship challenger. But he's got his work cut out, because Elias Seppänen and Tom Callender, what a potent pairing they're turning out to be.
Yeah, and that race actually promised a lot more, didn't it? Because Callender was flying, wasn't it, at the start of the race, picking them off left, right and centre. Then the safety car period bunched them up and picked off a few more. They just missed out in that pit stop phase and ended up getting stuck behind Gregory Cyborg in the FK Performance BMW, who, of course, teammates to Leon Köhler and Maxime Osten, their title rivals, doing a big favour there to the eventual race winners. There's David Schumacher to the left of your picture. But his first podium of the season, his teammate Salman Vega, likewise, they'll be hoping to go forwards from this point on. They've ended up with a pretty solid weekend and a very good Sunday after the second weekend of the season here at Zandvoort.
Of course, Elias Seppänen and Salman Vega were teammates last year, and they won the championship together for the ADAC GT Masters. The divorce was amicable. I understand that Elias got the cat. David Schumacher then teamed up with Salman Vega, and of course Tom Callender teamed up with Elias Seppänen. There are the two Alexes, the two Swiss drivers, Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer. I think they've done a really good job. I mean, for me, that's been, in a sense, one of the drives of the day. The Pro-Am pairing, the only Pro-Am pairing in the race, to get a second place in such a competitive field, that is a really good job. But the headlines, of course, Leon Köhler and Max Osten adding a win to their 5th place yesterday, their 4th place, and their other win at Oschersleben. Car 33 Simon Connor Prim and Jonas Greif coming home in 13th place. Not what they'd hoped for, having started on pole position, but they will go back, they will evaluate as the Kapvinger twins are there ready to celebrate as well. I believe that one is Johannes, and I think that's Michael in front of the barrier. I may be wrong. Yes, not easy. But yeah, they've done a very solid job. A 4th place for them. So it's not their best. They had a 3rd at Oschersleben, but they'll be really happy with that.
Yeah, points in every race. I mean, the worst is the 7th place finish. And when it's a relatively short championship, you can't afford too many slip-ups. So even on the not-so-good days, if you can score good points, then that's a really good foundation for, you know, being involved in the championship fight for sure. And if they can pick up a win or two in the second half of the season, then I wouldn't rule them out, because they showed good pace in that race as well, didn't they? Far behind the battle for second in the end, only about a second and a half between David Schumacher in 3rd and Michael Kapvinger in 4th as they crossed the line. Samuel Vega to the left, and David Schumacher, the camera goes past. And there are 2 race winners. Leon Kohler, a bit of guest driving DTM experience for him a few years ago, and Max Osten, who's come up through BMW M2 Cup, GT4s, and now GT3s. And great job done by them. They didn't feel at the start of the weekend, Max was saying, that BMW was all that competitive around here. He was saying, I feel like the Mercedes are pretty good everywhere, but we have ups and downs. Some tracks we're good, some tracks we're not so good. So I think it'll feel like, especially with the grid positions they had in the races, a bit of a bonus win, that.
Yes, absolutely, and I think it was Max Osten's, or I know it was Max Osten's dream to win on his home track. If there was one place he wanted to win, it was going to be here, and that's exactly what he's done. So, David Schumacher and Salmon Vega, their first podium of the year, on to the 3rd step they come. There is a smile from David Schumacher. Salmon Vega, and come on, chap, hurry up the steps he comes, getting ready to stand on that 3rd step. I have to say, not looking quite as delighted as David Schumacher is about it, but no doubt happy with the points. Here comes 2nd place, Team Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer. But who can stop the might of that BMW around the Zandvoort circuit? Well, today the answer was nobody, because it's the top step of the podium from Leon Kohler from Germany and Maxime Osten from the Netherlands, standing on the top step of the podium. Also, FK Performance will have representation on the podium as well. So congratulations, great sportsmanship here amongst all the drivers. And then Alexander Schwarzer as the Pro-Am winner as well. So, time for the national anthem. So, national anthem done. And the German national anthem for the German team of FK Performance. The trophies, lovely trophies. Walter Hornung, ADAC referent for automobiles, presenting the winning trophies. Great mementos. And that trophy will mean a lot to Max Osten, his home circuit on the trophy. 2nd place, being presented by Arthur Newman, the former Dutch soccer national player. Thought I recognised the name. Presenting the 2nd place trophies to Team Alex for FAC Autotech, the team that run by Alex Fack Senior, an absolute legend in the world of motorsport as well. So Alex Fack Senior will be looking very proudly at his son, and Alexander Schwarzer on their 2nd place, and then the 3rd place to David Schumacher and Salmon Vega. Then we get one for the team. Yeah, he's on that side today. So another one for the ever-growing trophy cabinet of FK Performance. Of course, they took a 1-2 in the SP10 category at the Nürburgring 24-hour race last week, the 7-hour, 24-hour race. Max Osten took a win in the SP10 category, so they really are on a roll at the moment. And in the Pro-Ams, an extra trophy for Alex Svack and Alexander Schwarzer. So, a quick pose for photographs, and then our focus will turn towards something a little bit different. 12th to the 14th of July is going to be part of the Truck Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. We were going to have a short sprint race on the Saturday of 40 minutes, and then on the Sunday, the first ever GT Masters endurance race. It will be 80 minutes with 2 mandatory stops, and then we're going to do it all again. Yes, we are returning for the first time in 9 years to Spa-Francorchamps at the end of August, beginning of September, for another 40-minute race, followed by an endurance 80-minute race on the Sunday. And then it's back to normal for rounds 5 and 6. The end of September in Austria at the Red Bull Ring for sprint races 9 and 10. And then we will learn the identity of the 2024 ADAC GT Masters champion at Hockenheim in October. So that's it from Zandvoort. It has been truly entertaining. The headline, the winner, has come from the Netherlands. Join us at the Nürburgring in a few weeks' time. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. Masters. We are go. The car span out. And he's given the squeeze. Look at this, side by side. Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff.